All right, let's now shift our attention to what is happening in Japan, where at least about 34 people may have lost their lives in the flooding that has battered southern Japan. Now, 16 people died as floodwaters inundated a nursing home. The floods have triggered mudslides, which have hampered search and rescue operations. The floods have also ravaged residential areas along the Kuma River, leaving many houses, buildings and vehicles submerged. Now, according to the Foreign Disaster Management Agency, dozens of people are still trapped in inundated areas and they are waiting to be rescued. And also, according to reports that have come in, more than 40,000 soldiers, the Coast Guard and fire brigades have been deployed for the search and rescue operations. Now, to give us more perspective in terms of what's actually happening in Japan, we're joined in by Grace Lee, our correspondent, who's joining us live from Tokyo. Grace, if you can bring us up to speed with what is actually the situation like due to the flooding that's now recently taken place. According to reports that have come in, nearly about 40,000 soldiers have been pressed in for the relief and rescue operations.
Yeah, as you mentioned, the situation is still quite dire and rescue operations are underway. We have at least 25 people pronounced dead and about a dozen more that are not showing vital signs, and so we may get confirmation in the next few hours on whether those people survived, and of course another dozen or so people who are still missing. Now, as we see this situation unfold, coronavirus is on the top of a lot of minds here. A lot of these evacuation centers are trying to space out the people coming to these evacuation centers in order to make sure that the virus doesn't spread if there is a positive case there. And that means a lot of them have had to turn away people coming to these centers and making sure that they're not at or not even close to full capacity. And this is something that the Japanese government has been worried about as we enter this rainy season in Japan, seeing how flooding has been a problem here in the past. Coronavirus in small confined spaces does not do well for it. So a lot of people are ending up staying in their cars, and that is another source of concern for officials who say that that may be dangerous, and also they might develop blood clots from staying in the same position in their cars for too long. So all in all, there is a lot of worry here, especially seeing that in the next 24 hours we're going to see a lot more rain.
Absolutely, indeed. And according to reports that have come in, that nearly about 200,000 people may need to be evacuated from the places where they live. In this area that we're talking about, Kyushu region, the weather officials are urging that people need to be on high alert. You know, especially in the wake of the coronavirus crisis, how difficult a task is it going to be to evacuate so many people, keeping in mind that social distancing norms, etc., will have to be adhered?
Yeah, evacuation efforts have been hampered by this. Officials are having to really ration out the way that they evacuate people as well, making sure that not too many people are cramped up in the same space as they're being evacuated. And that's meant that a lot of these operations are moving more slowly. And this is particularly worrying because what's been hit hardest in this incident at the moment have been elderly centers and medical institutions. They're being shut down due to the flooding and hit hard by this. So that's another source of worry for the government. But they're saying that evacuation efforts are underway. It is rainy season, like I mentioned before, here in Japan. So we may see situations like this continue to unfold in the next few days. So residents here are quite worried.
All right, we'll have to leave it there. Thank you very much indeed, Grace Lee, for joining us and getting us all those insights from Tokyo. We'll, of course, come back to you as more details emerge in this story. Let's now shift our attention to the other big story that we are tracking on WION, where scientists and doctors from across the world have said that the coronavirus infection is actually an airborne infection. And they're now urging the World Health Organization to change and re-evaluate its recommendations. Now, nearly about 239 scientists from 32 different countries have written to the WHO saying that they are ignoring, that the WHO is ignoring the mounting evidence that the novel coronavirus actually spreads through small respiratory droplets that float about in air. Experts say that COVID-19 spreads in crowded spaces with poor ventilation. They've also said that ventilation systems in schools, hotels and pubs must add new powerful filters to filter out small droplets. They further added that people must wear masks indoors as well, and health workers should only wear N95 masks while looking after coronavirus patients. Scientists have further said that UV light can be used to kill viral particles that are floating indoors. The World Health Organization has maintained that the coronavirus is spread primarily by large respiratory droplets that once expelled by infected people in coughs, sneezes, etc., fall quickly to the ground. The global health body has said that there is, at this point of time, no conclusive evidence to show that COVID-19 is airborne.